The story of Prophet Ayyub AS stands as one of the most profound examples of unwavering faith in the face of unimaginable trials. His life, which had once been filled with comfort, abundance, and respect, suddenly transformed into a severe test designed to measure the depth and resilience of his belief in Allah. Unlike ordinary challenges, the trials faced by Ayyub were all-encompassing. He lost his wealth, his children, his health, and nearly the support of his community. Yet through each stage of suffering, his faith remained unshaken, offering a timeless lesson that true devotion is proven not in times of ease, but when adversity strikes with intensity that defies human understanding. Ayyub's AS was renowned not only for his material prosperity, but for his moral and spiritual uprightness. His life was an embodiment of gratitude, humility, and obedience to Allah. When his riches were stripped away, his reaction was not one of despair or accusation. Instead, he accepted the loss as part of the divine plan, demonstrating a profound understanding that worldly possessions are transient and that reliance on Allah alone provides enduring security. The loss of his children, a heart-wrenching trial for any parent, further tested his patience and spiritual fortitude. Despite the depth of this personal anguish, Ayyub's AS remained committed to praising Allah, teaching believers that sorrow does not justify anger against the Creator, but calls for a deeper reliance on divine wisdom. The most striking element of Ayyub's trial was his prolonged illness, which inflicted immense physical suffering. His body became a source of pain and discomfort, yet he never allowed despair to dominate his heart. The Quran records his humble supplication, acknowledging his suffering while affirming Allah's mercy. Indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful. This demonstrates that faith is not merely belief in words, but a lived experience, where acknowledging hardship does not equate to losing hope, and where enduring suffering with patience strengthens one's spiritual connection. Through Ayyub's trials, the depth of faith becomes tangible. It is a reminder that believers may encounter moments where circumstances seem overwhelmingly unjust or incomprehensible, yet such moments are precisely where faith is refined and strengthened. Patience, in this context, is not passive endurance. It is an active, conscious choice to trust in Allah's wisdom, to maintain gratitude in the absence of blessings, and to recognize that trials, no matter how severe, carry lessons meant to elevate the soul. Additionally, the story emphasizes the importance of humility and faith. Ayyub never questioned the divine decree with arrogance or doubt. Instead, he demonstrated that acknowledging human limitation and submitting to Allah's omniscient plan is the essence of spiritual maturity. His unwavering belief was ultimately rewarded when Allah restored his health, wealth, and family, illustrating that patience and steadfast faith are pathways to divine mercy and triumph over adversity. The ultimate test of faith faced by Prophet Ayyub serves as a mirror for all believers, reflecting the potential for strength, resilience, and unwavering devotion in the most trying circumstances. His story transcends time and culture, offering a universal lesson that faith tested by hardship, when coupled with humility and patience, becomes a source of profound spiritual empowerment. It teaches that trials are not punishments, but opportunities to deepen one's connection with the Creator, and that the true measure of a believer lies in the ability to remain steadfast when life seems most unjust. Ayyub's life continues to inspire countless generations, showing that the ultimate test of faith is not merely to endure suffering, but to do so with complete trust, unwavering patience, and a heart fully surrendered to Allah. Prophet Ayyub was renowned not only for his piety, but also for the immense blessings that Allah had bestowed upon him. He was a man of wealth, respected by his community, and surrounded by loving family. His prosperity was a visible testament to his devotion, a sign to the people around him of how faith and righteousness can bring abundant rewards. Yet, this very abundance became a test of his character, for true faith is not measured only in times of comfort, but in the ability to remain steadfast when everything is stripped away. The story of Ayyub's AS serves as a profound reminder that worldly wealth is transient and reliance on material possessions is ultimately fleeting. It is a lesson that the heart must attach itself to Allah, not to the fleeting comforts of this world. In a short span of time, Ayyub's AS faced a dramatic reversal of fortune. His wealth vanished, his livestock and lands were lost, and the luxuries he had taken for granted were gone. People who had once admired him for his prosperity distanced themselves, and the admiration that wealth had brought him was replaced with isolation. For a man whose identity had been intertwined with abundance, such a trial could have led to despair. Yet, Ayyub AS demonstrated an extraordinary level of trust in Allah. He did not lament or question divine wisdom, nor did he allow pride or despair to control his heart. Instead, he accepted his condition with humility, recognizing that material blessings are temporary and that his ultimate purpose lay in devotion to the Creator. The transformation of his life from wealth to destitution was not merely a test of patience, but also a spiritual purification. By removing worldly comforts, Allah invited Ayyub AS to a higher level of reliance, where faith was tested in its purest form. The story teaches that wealth and prosperity are not inherently harmful, but attachment to them can cloud the soul. Ayyub AS showed that when a believer loses worldly possessions, it is not a punishment but an opportunity to reflect on the deeper realities of existence. The impermanence of wealth reminds humans that their true security lies in obedience, gratitude, and unwavering trust in Allah, not in bank accounts, property, or possessions. Moreover, the loss of wealth tested Ayyub's social relationships and his character in ways that were far more profound than the mere disappearance of money. People who had once celebrated his fortune turned away, leaving him in solitude. Yet, Ayyub AS did not succumb to bitterness or anger. He maintained his dignity, his moral conduct, and his devotion, illustrating that true wealth is measured by the strength of faith and the purity of character, not by material accumulation. His resilience underlined a critical spiritual lesson: what is fleeting cannot define one's value, but patience, humility, and trust in Allah constitute enduring treasures that no hardship can diminish. Finally, the story of Ayyub's AS reminds believers to cultivate gratitude in all circumstances. Gratitude is not only expressed in times of abundance, but is demonstrated even when life presents trials and loss. The patience he exhibited amid hardship became a model for generations, a testament that faith anchored in Allah is stronger than any worldly fortune. His journey from riches to destitution and back again teaches that wealth, while temporary, can serve as a test of devotion. When that true security and contentment are found in surrendering to the wisdom of the Almighty, trusting that every trial carries hidden blessings and every loss can lead to spiritual elevation. Prophet Ayyub's AS is revered across generations as the epitome of patience and resilience in the face of unimaginable suffering. His life, which began with immense blessings and prosperity, was later overshadowed by severe trials that tested the limits of human endurance. Among all his trials, the affliction of illness was perhaps the most profound, both in its physical agony and its emotional and spiritual challenges. This illness, which left him debilitated and in extreme pain, could have easily broken the resolve of an ordinary person. Yet, Ayyub's AS remained steadfast, embodying a faith that transcended physical suffering and worldly despair. The Quran mentions his condition with great reverence, highlighting how he turned to Allah, not with complaints, resentment, or despair, but with unwavering trust in divine wisdom. His patience was not passive, it was an active devotion, a conscious choice to submit fully to Allah's will, even when every instinct might have urged him to protest against the injustice of his suffering. Ayyub's AS lost not only his health, but also his social standing and support. His once flourishing household became deserted as many abandoned him, unable to witness or endure his prolonged affliction. Yet, even in isolation, he did not succumb to bitterness or hopelessness. Instead, he maintained his prayers, his remembrance of Allah, and his acknowledgement that all trials are ultimately a test of faith. His illness, while severe, became a spiritual crucible in which his faith was refined and his character illuminated. This narrative demonstrates a profound lesson for believers that patience is not merely a matter of waiting or tolerating discomfort, but is an active engagement with one's spiritual core, turning suffering into a medium for closeness with Allah. Ayyub's resilience teaches that the human spirit can transcend physical limitations when anchored in unwavering faith. The story also highlights the psychological and emotional dimensions of enduring long-term suffering. Ayyub had experienced despair, yet he never allowed it to manifest as anger or rebellion against Allah. He acknowledged his vulnerability and his dependence on divine mercy, exemplifying humility at its highest form. His illness became a vehicle for demonstrating trust, showing that true faith persists not in comfort, but precisely in adversity. His prayers, delivered from the depths of hardship, exemplify the ideal relationship between a believer and Allah, one rooted in patience, hope, and complete reliance on divine wisdom. By enduring his illness with dignity and perseverance, Ayyub became a living testament to the strength of the human spirit when it aligns with divine guidance. Furthermore, his example extends beyond individual endurance to inspire empathy and compassion in others. Witnessing such patience encourages communities to support those who are suffering and to recognize that trials are not signs of divine neglect, but opportunities for spiritual elevation. His story bridges the physical, emotional, and spiritual aspects of suffering, showing that illness, while painful and often isolating, need not diminish a person's faith or humanity. Rather, it can serve as a means of cultivating inner strength, reliance on Allah, and the refinement of character. Ayyub's life is an enduring reminder that true patience is transformative, capable of turning the heaviest of burdens into a profound testimony of faith. Ultimately, the illness of Prophet Ayyub's stands as a beacon of inspiration. It conveys a timeless message that no matter how intense the trial, the spirit anchored in faith cannot be broken. His unwavering devotion under extreme suffering teaches that human beings are capable of transcending the limitations of the body through the power of faith and trust in Allah. His life story reassures every believer that patience in the face of adversity is not only rewarded, but also elevates the soul, making it resilient, compassionate, and ever closer to the divine. The story of Prophet Ayyub's is often told in terms of his patience and endurance, yet an equally profound lesson lies in the unwavering support and loyalty of his wife. While Ayyub faced immense suffering, his wife's steadfastness exemplifies a form of spiritual strength that is rarely highlighted. During his trials, Ayyub lost his wealth, his children, and his health. He was afflicted with a disease that made life unbearable, and those around him abandoned him, leaving him isolated in his suffering. In the midst of this extraordinary adversity, his wife remained his closest companion, offering emotional and spiritual support that would have been vital to sustaining his unwavering faith. Her loyalty was not a superficial gesture. It was a reflection of deep conviction, understanding that their trials were part of Allah's divine plan. Despite the severe hardships, she never wavered in her devotion. Many would have been overwhelmed by grief, fear, or the shame associated with social stigma due to illness, but she remained steadfast. Her commitment was not limited to companionship alone. She actively participated in his care, showing patience and compassion at every moment. In doing so, she mirrored the qualities of Ayyub's himself, embodying the virtues of faith, resilience, and reliance on Allah. Her actions demonstrated that true loyalty and love are measured not by the absence of suffering, but by the ability to remain faithful even in the most trying circumstances. This reflects a broader principle in Islam, where patience, support, and faith are intertwined, and where trials become opportunities to manifest genuine spiritual strength. Her loyalty also illustrates the importance of partnership in faith. She did not seek worldly reward or recognition. Her support was rooted purely in her belief in Allah's wisdom. In a time when Ayyub's was stripped of all worldly comforts, Her presence served as a reminder that spiritual companionship can sustain the heart when material wealth is gone. This kind of unwavering support highlights a dimension of love that transcends mere emotion. It is a conscious choice to uphold faith, trust in divine wisdom, and provide strength to others in their moments of vulnerability. Her steadfastness also underscores the significance of empathy and selflessness in human relationships. While suffering is an individual trial, shared endurance can lighten the burden, providing hope and resilience to those facing hardship. Furthermore, her loyalty amplifies the lesson that trials are not faced in isolation. Prophet Ayyub AS may have been tested individually, but the presence of a devoted companion reinforced the spiritual lesson that enduring hardships with patience is not only an act of personal faith, but can also inspire and uplift those around us. She represents the silent strength that supports the courageous and embodies the idea that faith manifests in deeds as well as in endurance. Her unwavering belief in moral courage became a crucial element in Ayyub AS' journey through suffering, proving that loyalty grounded in faith can become a source of divine mercy. Ultimately, what the devotion of Ayyub AS' wife serves as a timeless example for believers. It teaches that love is inseparable from faith and true loyalty is tested most profoundly in adversity. Her presence alongside Ayyub's AS demonstrates that even in the darkest trials, spiritual resilience, compassion, and unwavering faith can illuminate the path. Her story reminds us that every act of support, patience, and trust in Allah during hardship contributes to a greater moral and spiritual triumph. It is a testament to the enduring power of faith, love, and loyalty, showing that steadfastness in relationships grounded in spirituality holds immense significance in both human and divine contexts. Prophet Ayyub's AS endured a level of suffering that is almost unimaginable to the human mind. He was a man of wealth, family, and social respect, yet he saw all of it stripped away within a short span of time. His children, his possessions, and even his health were taken from him, leaving him in a state of utter desolation. Despite the extremity of his trials, Ayyub AS never wavered in his faith. He did not question Allah's wisdom, nor did he allow despair to dominate his heart. Instead, he turned inward, seeking solace through prayer and unwavering trust in the mercy of his Lord. His suffering, though immense, became the backdrop against which the power of patient prayer and divine mercy was vividly displayed. The endurance of Ayyub's AS is remarkable because it highlights the connection between human patience and the boundless compassion of Allah. In his darkest moments, when his body was racked with disease and his social circles had abandoned him, Ayyub's AS remained steadfast in his worship. He understood that true submission to Allah meant embracing hardship with a heart full of hope rather than resentment. His prayer was not born of desperation alone, but of sincere recognition that relief could only come from the one who is most merciful. When he finally raised his voice in supplication, it was not a cry of complaint, but a humble acknowledgement of his vulnerability and an affirmation of Allah's ultimate authority over all matters of existence. His words, "Indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful," encapsulate the essence of patient prayer, a surrendering of the self while simultaneously placing complete trust in divine wisdom. The story of Ayyub's AS teaches that prayer is not merely a ritualistic act, but a lifeline for the soul. When faced with overwhelming trials, it is easy to succumb to frustration or bitterness. Yet Ayyub's AS demonstrates that prayer, when infused with patience and sincerity, becomes a source of inner strength and resilience. His example reminds believers that divine mercy often manifests not immediately, but in response to consistent faith and steadfastness under pressure. The act of turning to Allah, even when hope seems distant, reflects a deep spiritual awareness that human endurance alone cannot achieve. This spiritual patience transforms suffering into a medium for growth, teaching that hardship and faith are intrinsically linked in the journey toward divine closeness. When Allah responded to the prayer of Ayyub's AS, The relief he experienced was not just physical restoration, but also spiritual reaffirmation. His illness was healed, his family and wealth were returned, and his social standing restored. Yet the true triumph lay in the transformation of his inner state. Through patient prayer, Ayyub ASS attained a profound serenity and understanding that trials are temporary and that divine mercy surpasses human imagination. His life serves as a blueprint for believers, showing that no matter how severe the test, patient supplication opens the doors to Allah's compassion. The story emphasizes that human suffering is never meaningless, and that when patience is coupled with sincere prayer, it becomes a catalyst for both spiritual and worldly renewal. The narrative of Ayyub's AS is timeless because it conveys a universal truth. Patience is not passive endurance, but an active engagement with faith through prayer. His supplication represents the pinnacle of human resilience, where trust in Allah and hope for mercy coexist, even amidst unbearable trials. The ultimate lesson is clear. True relief comes when patience meets divine mercy, and the faithful who remain steadfast will witness the transformative power of Allah's compassion in ways that surpass human understanding. The story of Prophet Ayyub's AS stands as one of the most profound lessons in patience and perseverance in the face of unimaginable trials. His life was marked by blessings beyond measure, yet also by a test that challenged every aspect of his existence. He lost his wealth, his children, and his health, yet through all of this, he remained steadfast in his faith. The key lesson for every believer lies in understanding that true patience is not merely enduring hardship, but maintaining trust in Allah's wisdom, even when circumstances appear unbearable. The trials of life are inevitable, but how one responds to them determines spiritual elevation. Sabr, or patient perseverance, is not a passive resignation, but an active reliance on Allah's mercy and guidance. It is an acknowledgement that all worldly matters are temporary, and that ultimate success comes through submission to divine will. Ayyub's ASES experience teaches that patience in adversity transforms suffering into a means of spiritual growth. Human beings naturally seek comfort and fear pain, yet Ayyub exemplified that trials, no matter how severe, can be opportunities for purification of the soul. Through his unwavering patience, he showed that human strength is measured not by what one possesses, but by the ability to remain faithful when all else is lost. For believers, this illustrates that difficulties are not punishments, but reminders of life's transient nature and prompts to return to the remembrance of Allah. Every hardship carries within it the seed of reward, and patience nurtures that seed into spiritual prosperity. Moreover, Ayyub AS demonstrates that supplication coupled with patience is powerful. He did not abandon prayer, despair, or hope. Rather, he turned to Allah in humility, acknowledging his suffering while expressing complete trust in divine mercy. This balance between patience and reliance on Allah is a model for believers. In moments of difficulty, when solutions seem impossible, the act of turning to Allah with sincerity strengthens the heart and fosters resilience. It also emphasizes that human beings are never truly alone, even in their deepest trials, for divine support is always present. Another critical lesson lies in the perspective of life itself. The patience of Ayyub AS teaches that worldly losses, no matter how devastating, are insignificant in comparison to spiritual fulfillment. Wealth, health, and social status are fleeting, while inner faith and devotion to Allah endure eternally. By focusing on the eternal rather than the temporal, believers can navigate hardships with dignity and grace. Ayyub's AS story inspires believers to find meaning in trials, to transform despair into hope, and to understand that perseverance nurtures a closeness to Allah that cannot be achieved through ease alone. Finally, the reward of patience is immense and multifaceted. Allah restored everything Ayyub's AS had lost, often in ways exceeding his original blessings, demonstrating that divine compensation surpasses human imagination. This illustrates that Sabr does not only lead to relief from suffering, but also to greater spiritual and worldly gains. For every believer, the story emphasizes that no trial is permanent And every act of patience is noted and rewarded. It reminds believers that enduring hardships with faith leads not just to relief, but to a higher station in this world and the next, making patience a powerful tool for victory in life and the hereafter. In essence, the life of Prophet Ayyub, is a timeless testament to the transformative power of patience. Through unwavering trust, steadfast faith, and humble supplication, his trials became a source of spiritual elevation and ultimate reward. For believers, embracing Sabr in every difficulty not only strengthens character, but also aligns the heart with divine will, proving that perseverance in faith leads inevitably to triumph and victory beyond worldly comprehension.